Alright, so in last lesson we talked about what is music. That's what we talked about. In this lesson we're going to talk about feeling the music. What does it mean to feel the music? Before we get started though, I wanted to say sorry if I'm making some of these confusing. Um, these videos are meant to be added on to the lessons as an extra thing off to the side. So it's okay if you pick through them and only watch the ones that are important to you. They're just to be there for you to be able to have a reference to, or if you want to go above and beyond what we're learning, or if you want to know more about a certain topic. And for the most part, I try to keep them simple. If you would like me to expand more on an idea that I share in one of these videos, let me know, and I'll really give a more in-depth video. I try to keep these under 10 minutes is the thing. So if you want, I can upload more about something to really give an in-depth look at it. Um, okay, so um, I love music. It's a way that I can relay thoughts. I can relay feelings. You can speak in music in such a free way. Um, eh, me personally, I can say with music things that I cannot say cannot express clearly with words. Sometimes I have to think about what I'm saying or whatever. But with music, it just comes so naturally. Um, it just it's a perfect way to express. It's a way of talking, is what it is. Um, it's more than just hitting the right notes. It's important that you play clearly. It is important that you master your art. Make sure that your fingers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yes, that's important. But if you remember in 1 Corinthians 13, I think it is, Paul writes to the Corinthians and he says, "I can do all these things, but without love, I'm just a banging gong." You know, that's it. It's the same thing with music. You can play, be the best musician in the world, but if you don't mean what you're playing, if you don't relay a real emotion, something that you actually feel or think, it's nothing. It's just a noise. It's just, blech. Um, obviously, some notes are good to listen to and some aren't. But the feeling that a note is played with determines everything. It's like how you say things. You can say, um, uh, let's say, um, well, you're a little young, but let's just pretend that you have a husband. If you were to tell your husband, "I love you," um, I mean, if you didn't mean the words that you were saying, it would just be words, you know. Um, but if you do mean the things that you say, and there's that emotion behind it, and there's that transparency, that realness with what you're saying, it comes across in your words. Um, so music is a way of expressing your thoughts and emotions without necessarily having words. Sometimes you write lyrics to go with songs, of course, but the music is the main part. Um, so when you're trying, it's gonna take you a while, but when you start feeling the music and you start actually expressing yourself, realize that there's no set right or wrong way. You know what I mean? A song is just a song. It's the performer that really gives it its depth, its atmosphere. Now, obviously, the composer meant it or wrote it with a certain atmosphere, but I mean, unless you're trying to play it exactly how the composer meant, um, it's gonna be you who's gonna give it new meaning and give it its voice, give it its spirit, um, so to say. Um, but there really is no right or wrong way. It's just what you're meaning to say. Um, a song a song may have thousands of applications based off the person, um, for instance, one person hears a song and they hear it's a sad love song. They miss their lover. Then another person hears that exact same song and they say, well, it's about a dead friend. You know, the moral of the story isn't exactly that you are feeling exactly in the exact same situation as the artist who wrote it. The moral of the story is that you are expressing yourself. You're you're speaking in music. Um, so obviously this what I'm encouraging you to do is play with feeling. Play like you actually mean what you're playing. The contrast of this would be playing legalistically, flat, shallow, hollow, where you're playing the notes and you're just going through the thing, and you may hit everything perfectly or you may not. It doesn't really matter. But it has no, like I said, it has no spirit. It has no heartbeat to it. Um, so when we get into sheet music, you'll see that it actually has things in there to help you figure out. It'll have things like this is how it's supposed to be played, like in Beethoven's Für Elise, you know, do 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 that song. It's at the beginning of it. It says to play it with poco moto, which means little motion. And so it's telling you how the atmosphere that it's trying that you want that the author is intending. Um, sometimes it'll also have words that mean how fast to play it, its tempo. Uh, but that's a little bit off topic. We'll get into that later once again. Um, but sometimes in sheet music it'll say what atmosphere, what mood to play with. Um, but to remember this, to express yourself in music and mean what you play is the greatest task of a musician. It's important that you perfect your art. It's important that you play well. It's important that you you know have good stage presence, that you have good posture and everything. But a musician who plays without expressing him or herself and does not mean what they are playing is a worthless and pointless musician. They're pointless. To really feel is the key point that I want you to grasp here. So play with feeling and play it well. Now, uh, this isn't going to come in very good because the microphone on my webcam doesn't work real well, but you'll get the idea. This is playing flatly. Real flat, you know, and it doesn't matter the speed. I played that kind of fast. But now I'm going to play with more feeling. See, it's the attitude that you play with. Do you mean the notes that you're playing? Do you mean it? Um, and the more you practice this, the more you'll get it. If you're having a problem with expressing yourself in music, try to listen to classical music, and you'll really see the depth and complexities of it. Um, Also, I would highly recommend Michael W. Smith's uh, newest instrumental CD. It's called Glory, Glory, Glory by Michael W. Smith. It is a fantastic orchestral piece. There's no words, just music, but it's very. You can hear his age in it, and you can really hear his reflections on life. Uh, his respect for certain things and his love for other things. I would highly suggest that you go and listen to that. It's a great starting point to really earning your voice. As a musician, you're gonna have to learn your voice. You're gonna have to make a voice. It's like a baby. You know, a baby at first doesn't have a voice. It just cries and whines. But then as it ages, it gets a voice and it matures that voice, and then eventually you can recognize that person by its voice, by their voice. And it's the same thing with this. Really grow your voice, grow your musical voice. All right, so play with feeling and play it well.